Welcome to another episode of Home Sweet Home. My name is Rod McCall.
And I'm Scott Nichols.
You know, I'm still full from Thanksgiving.
Are you?
Yes.
I mean, it's been a few days.
Well, I know it's been a few days, but dang.
Are you just still eating? Is that what's happening?
Well, yeah. I mean, we've had two Thanksgivings. Between the two Thanksgivings, 3 turkeys, 2 hams, and all the sides and fixings with
My goodness.
tons and tons of leftovers. I mean, between the pies and the cakes.
Wow.
And I'm just going, woo, good thing for stretchy pants.
Well, we had just my wife and I and our youngest daughter this year. So, we bought enough food that we planned on having, leftovers for probably a week at least after. But it's relatively cheap to buy turkey and during Thanksgiving, especially, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
all the fixings pretty cheap, and it's easy to, do the leftover thing. So we do that every year, and we quite enjoy it. So,
Well, I've even gotten to, speaking of, turkey and stuff, with my air fryer. I've been getting a turkey and putting it in the air fryer.
sure.
One of those a turkey breast anyway. They came out real good, but
We use our air fryer constantly.
yeah.
It's so awesome. And I found that cooking bacon in it is incredible.
Haven't tried that yet.
Oh, much easy to clean up. And It comes
Okay.
out crispy, nice every time.
Ooh, all right.
Yeah,
Well, I'll have
gotta
to
try that.
Hey, you know what? Maybe we have transitioned into a cooking show.
Well, I mean, we can talk about cooking. I love to cook, so
Oh, yeah.
except
yeah.
when I don't. But,
When I'm tired.
yeah.
But, well, so I take it you had a good Thanksgiving then.
I did. And, Thanksgiving's always a nice time. I mean, as a teacher, we both get
Mm-hmm.
a whole week off during that time. So it's a great time to spend with family and truly reflecting on being thankful for all the things that you have, right? Because we can actually slow down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, not everybody can do that. So I don't know. I don't remember that from it's been a long time since I've had to keep the pace up right up until that Wednesday before
Mhm.
Thanksgiving, and then get back into it on Friday or Monday, but
Yeah.
or Saturday. But that is the way for most people. So,
Mhm.
but we get that chance to really reflect on the thankfulness and the gratitude, and I enjoy that time.
I do too. I now that I'm moving into the counseling world, I'm beginning to question leaving education, as I
Sure.
have gotten. You're right. I've been doing this for 23 years straight, and the idea of I've always had that week off,
Right.
and the Friday and the whole weekend, and it has been kind of nice. But I remember working for the uniform company when I lived in Pennsylvania, and we worked 4 days a week. And so we worked Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, had Thursday off, and then worked Friday.
Right.
So it's kind of like, ugh. So I'm kind of glad that I don't have to, but, I applaud those that do. And I appreciate them working,
Yeah.
because
I mean, there's certainly lots of other people to be thankful for, right? Like, I mean, we've for a long time there, we complained about, retail stores being open during Thanksgiving or opening Thanksgiving night, and how disrespectful that was to the employees and all that stuff. But, you've got doctors, and you've got, emergency personnel,
Yeah,
the
your
fire
first
department, police
responders.
department. I mean, military, everybody's out there working and right through the day.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't think we often reflect on that. I mean, we get weekends and we have holidays, and we just kind of assume that everybody should be at home. Sometimes I go out to the store and I'm like, why is everybody here? Like, what's, if I take a day off from work, I'm like, why is everybody on the road? Shouldn't they be at work? But,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people at work when we're sleeping and we're doing other things. And I am truly thankful for those people that keep us safe and respond when we need help. So,
Oh, well, you mentioned, military personnel. I have my godson is deployed over to Japan right now.
Oh.
And so
Okinawa?
No, actually mainland Japan.
Oh, okay.
Well, not mainland. There's 4 main islands. But he's on I don't remember the island, but it's the one that has Tokyo
Sure.
On it. And so he's there, and then I have one of my nephews. He's been deployed, and he is now, but it's a 3-year deployment where my godson is just a temporary. And then I've got another nephew that is going to Korea here after the first of the year. And so it was good to see him and his wife and daughter over Thanksgiving, because won't see him for a nice long while again.
Yeah.
So, because that is one of my favorite things of Thanksgiving, is that ever since went through the divorce and Eric died, and anyway, my sisters and I, we all agreed that we would go to our parents' house in Arkansas.
Right.
And so we have made a concerted effort for the last 12, 13 years that's where we go. We give them Thanksgiving, and so we all go. And then my nieces and nephews, when they're able, come as well.
Sure.
And we have a nice get-together, and we get there Wednesday, and a lot of us leave either Saturday or Sunday, and we do a big bonfire Friday night, and it's just a whole lot of good family fun, bonding. Usually there's some kind of KU basketball game, so since we're all big KU fans, that's a lot of fun to watch, because mostly around here I got to watch by myself. So,
yeah. I mean, our Thanksgiving morning involves some decent tradition I enjoy, which is we have some cinnamon buns, and we sit down with like hot chocolate, and we watch the Thanksgiving parade from New York.
Yes,
and we enjoy that. That's always been a thing with us and our kids. So we did that as well this year. And then normally we put up our Christmas tree the next day.
Okay.
We did it earlier this year because our oldest daughter and grandson were headed to Florida for Thanksgiving week, so they didn't get to spend the time with us, and so we didn't. We wanted to make sure that particularly our grandson got a chance to put the ornaments on the tree, because that's how we do that. But
sure. So
we did that a little early this year, but those are some fun things that we do at Thanksgiving time.
Gotcha.
That help us, be thankful for family too during that time.
Mm-hmm.
It's. I don't think that we generally have a daily practice of gratitude. Oftentimes, like, we get up in the morning and we're like, I don't want to get up. I don't want to go to work. I don't want to do those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And reality is that we have it pretty good in the United States.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we have first world problems on a daily basis, and oftentimes we get grumpy about our first world problems, and we probably should practice a little bit more gratitude for what we do have.
Well, and that's one of the things that, we talked about this before, and I truly do believe that we have reached that time of year where it is maybe a little easier. I mean, I think it's super easy to get caught up in the speed and hustle and bustle of putting up Christmas decorations and Christmas shopping,
sure,
and all that comes with that, the cooking, the baking, the parties that you go to. And I think there's a lot of stress, and I think there's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
But as we are in kind of that food coma fog from Thanksgiving, I think, it is kind of nice to step back and kind of, take stock of what we have, that, we are better than, a lot of other folks. We got a roof, we got food on the table, and, well, you're right. There are days that I'm going, dude, I really don't feel like going to work. I got a job.
Right.
And a job that covers my bills and provides for some of my wants. And, sometimes you're right. It is easy to overlook that. And so
that's very easy, right? I mean, like, we get up in the morning and if we decide not to do something, we just call out from work, and we don't show up, and then we walk in our bare feet to the kitchen and make some coffee and flip on the huge big screen TV that we have and start binging some TV shows and doing all the things. Well, there's people in other parts of the world that are struggling just to get water for the day.
Well,
and so, we just, I don't think we have perspective a lot of times.
I think maybe we do. We don't always recall it though.
Sure.
I can't think that's kind of why the whole Thanksgiving holiday came about to begin with. As, kind of a way to I guess if we go way, 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 way back, the fall harvest was over, and a way to, praise for the early folks, they praise God for, a bountiful harvest.
Sure.
And, it was a lot of collaboration.
For the most part, if the natives hadn't helped them, they would have died of starvation.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that is not always well recalled or remembered.
Sure.
I will say that when I lived in Pennsylvania, I actually got to see a barn raising.
Oh, wow.
And that was really pretty cool. I know that many years ago, my dad built a new hay barn. And so a bunch of people from church had come over, and they all just busted their buns to, I don't know, there's probably 25, 30 people.
That's quite an activity.
It was. And then in the span of a day, they built a barn. And it wasn't a huge one and all of that. It was just a hay barn.
Sure.
But it was really kind of neat. And those are the kinds of things that I think build strength of character.
Sure.
And the idea that being able to not only just be thankful, but also to help.
Well, it's working together, right? Like there's a togetherness that's associated. And I think that's like human nature. Like we want to be together with others. You hear people talk about work and how, relationships they might have at work. Some people have more relationship at work than they have anywhere, right? Because they spend more time at work. But those relationships are important. And, I know you've mentioned several times it's who you work with, right? That keeps you in a job. It's not necessarily the job itself. And so sometimes that's what makes the job, right? And so being with people is important to people. They want relationship. As a counselor, I'm guessing that's part of, the education that you've had in that is people are relational.
Oh, very much so. You're right. It is part of human nature. I'm reading a book by Dr. Ben Garber about raising kids in an anxious time.
Sure.
And it's from the very, very beginning of our human existence that we are relational. And we learn to be relational. And, I guess one of the things that I thoroughly enjoy most about what we do as teachers, and I think it's part of why going into counseling is a natural transition for me, but even what we're doing right here, right now, is giving.
Right.
And I know we see the red kettles out there from the Salvation Army, and you give money to them. I've seen different groups, Boy Scout groups. I even saw a 4-H group. First time I'd seen 4-H down here in Texas, because I was in 4-H back in Kansas growing up. And, they're always collecting money for this or that. Or in this case, the 4-H was collecting canned goods for a homeless shelter.
Sure.
And I didn't have any money when I walked in, but I got cash back at the grocery store. And it felt kind of good to put some cash into their collection.
Yeah.
It's those kinds of warm, fuzzy feelings, when we get to help our kids and they go, oh my gosh.
And it's nice to actually put the cash in, right? Like that, there's a sense that goes along with that. I don't know, there's a good feeling about that. You can go to the Red Kettle these days for Salvation Army and scan the QR code and do it with your Apple Pay. Which is great, right? But I don't feel like it has the same feeling as stuffing that cash down in that little pot. I
didn't know you could do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, who's going to donate? Because nobody carries cash anymore.
Well, I guess I'm a little old school because I I always just do the cash. I'll be darned.
Yeah, they have QR codes generally now.
Okay.
Back in the day, I used to ring
Did
the
you?
bell for Salvation Army. We had the guy I worked for in New Hampshire. He was a member of the fire department that I was a member of, and we were. He did Salvation Army, so he organized that in the town where I lived, and so I would sign up to ring the bell for a shift.
Okay.
Several times. Most of us in the fire department did it,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a neat experience.
Well, that's one of the things that I like.
It's a way to give.
Oh, yeah. And that's kind of what I was going to say. Being part of different civic groups or organizations. I was in college. I was part of the Early Bird Optimist Club.
Sure.
And, they did various things around the community where I went to college. And one included running a very small railroad train around the smallest accredited zoo in the United States. And so that was pretty fun. When I was a member of the Knights of Columbus, we would do different charity things.
Wow.
One was always the Tootsie Roll drive. And they would sell Tootsie Rolls at the end of church services for, maybe 2 weeks. And then the money would go towards various charitable organizations. And I thought that, was always kind of neat. And I go back to my parents. And my parents were always doing things to help.
Sure.
And I think that it spread to me, and I thoroughly enjoy being able to do that. And again, being a school teacher, we give. We do a lot of things above and beyond. And I think that's what is the difference between, an average teacher and a good teacher.
Sure.
And every kid has those memories of that favorite teacher.
Yeah.
And why? Because they went above and beyond. And that's where I thoroughly enjoy doing what we do. And it's that giving back.
Yeah, and I think that, once you're, after Thanksgiving, right, it's a great time. I mean, before Thanksgiving and every day of the year, it's a good time. But as we refocus on being thankful during this time more than any other time of the year, it's a good time to consider, doing some giving. And you're walking out of the store. I was walking out of Walmart the other day, and there was a tree, with tags on it for kids,
Yeah.
and you can buy gifts for those kids.
Those angel trees.
Yeah, I mean. That's a great way, right? It's pretty light. It doesn't have to be super expensive, and you might even be able to do that 3 or 4 times if you're well off enough. Just throwing that extra thing in your cart, giving that away, or I was at a Kroger the other day, and they had some giving. If you wanted to donate for a food bank, right? I mean, this is a time where we have plenty of food on our tables, and some people don't. And so, giving for that and remembering that. But there's a whole host of giving organizations out there that you don't have to give money. You could volunteer time, like the Salvation Army, right? Where they would be glad to have somebody ringing the bell for them.
Oh, absolutely. It kind of reminds, as you're saying all that, one of my favorite Christmas movies is a Bill Murray movie called Scrooged.
Oh, sure.
And at the tail end of the movie, and he's talking straight to the camera, he says about, this is that time of year where, we can be that person that we want to be all year round, but just are not. And I kind of think, that is. I think that's part of the, not to be overly religious, but the miracle of the season.
Sure.
Is that we tend to be more of that person we want to be all year, but we aren't for all kinds of potential reasons. And so we try and be extra aware, so therefore maybe extra good, and I put that in air quotes.
Right.
So that we can be that individual. That we want to be. I don't know, maybe that's a redundancy, but I do like the ideas of helping And it just feels like it's easier this time of year than, I don't know, maybe April or June or something like that.
Well, it just feels natural right now, right? Because there's more people looking for help or asking for generosity.
Yeah.
And so it's easier to get into it now. The trick is to carry that over into the rest of the year and continue to be thankful and continue to be generous, throughout the year. And I think, probably most of us fail at that to some extent.
I know I do.
It's not easy, right? And we get caught up in ourselves and our first world problems and call out of work and use all our sick days and do whatever, right? To satisfy ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't often think about others.
Yeah.
It's not human nature, right? To think about others. It's human nature to be selfish. And I mean, entire economies are based on that. Right?
True.
I mean,
but
that's just how it works.
I will say that our local NBC station here in DFW, one of the things that I like that they do is they will try and, it's not a regular daily thing, but they will, or maybe it is and I just don't watch it every day, so I don't know, but they will run stories of people helping people. And it's always kind of an uplifting story because, a lot of times you listen to the news and it can be very depressing.
Sure.
And so I love when they do stories about, great things that are happening in our local schools or, this nonprofit helping these groups of people, or just an individual. A story of, crying out loud. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but they do these kinds of neat stories. And it makes me feel warm and fuzzy going, okay, you know what? Maybe I do need to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I feel good when I'm walking either into or out of a store and I just hold the door.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, well, there goes 2, 5, 8, 10, 12 people.
Sure.
In and out. But I don't mind doing that. And it's kind of nice when, oh, thank you. Oh, thank you.
Then you see that one person, you're like, I'm going to shut the door on them.
But it is, I don't know. I'm just always, even though I know it and I do it, it always feels extra good when you can help somebody.
I think that, reflecting back on one of the things that our family did or participated in at one point was, creating, and it's too late now, right, for Thanksgiving, but it's not too late for Christmas, or whatever holiday meal people are doing. And we did a thing, back in New Hampshire, and we might have done it in Florida too, where, we bought laundry baskets and we filled the laundry basket with a Thanksgiving meal.
Okay.
So you had like a turkey and you had everything, you had it all in there. And then we brought that to people who were in need and just gave them a whole Thanksgiving meal. They had to cook it.
Yeah.
You had all the fixins, right? Like everything was there. And, that felt good. I remember a time we did that and it was probably 10 meals we handed out.
Oh, wow.
And it was other families helping us, right? It wasn't just us, but that's something that, even if you don't have an organization or you're not part of a church or you're not, getting involved that way, you can get with neighbors and be like, hey, we know these people, like, let's help them.
Yeah.
And everybody can contribute something very low cost and then just, provide that for somebody. And that's, that it really would make somebody's day, right? I mean, we had times when we were, not well off when we were young, because, my wife and I got married when I was 19 and she was 20. We were young and dumb and didn't have a lot of money. And so, we had kids and we struggled to buy Christmas gifts.
Yeah.
And so I remember times where people just like dropped off gifts for us.
Oh, wow.
Or we got, we got gifts through other means, where people were donating stuff. So it really does, it feels good for the people who are getting it. It feels good to give it. It's just, whether you're giving or receiving, I think that probably true that the giving is better than the receiving. But the receiving isn't bad. I mean, the people who need it are going to be thankful for that.
I think we get a lot when we give.
We do.
And
it feels good.
It really does. And that's where, you'd said something up here at work. where the Post-it note thing, where you put everybody in our department and, you could come by and just give those little Post-it notes of thanks.
Sure.
Which I didn't get the Post-it note. That's why I actually wrote on the sheets on some. But anyway, because, I can't read and follow directions very well.
Okay.
But I think that's one of those things that is kind of nice. Let people know when they're feeling a little down or a little blue that, hey, people are paying attention.
Sure.
And, that might be something we might explore again before, the end of the year.
Sure.
Because I think it is in, like I said, it's in giving that we receive.
Yeah.
Kindness is not something that is just seasonal. Kindness is something that we can do all the time. And that's why when you were talking about gratitude, it's a good time to think back, and that can serve potentially as a motivator, an
right.
influence, on how did other people treat us. So like you were saying, folks in the past helped you, so it's easy to help people now return the favor. And I like that. That's, I think that's an important thing that in a world filled with ugliness, we can do just a little bit of nice things, make it, a little brighter.
Sure. People like to be noticed, and people don't want to be noticed for the bad things.
Mm-hmm.
People want to be noticed for something good. People want to be noticed for something that is appreciative. And I feel like everybody deserves that.
Sure.
Right? Everybody deserves some kind of recognition for the good about them. And I have a hard time thinking that there's anybody who there's nothing good about. So there's got to be something. But I suspect that that's a thing in counseling, right? Like people feel invisible. And when they feel invisible, they start to get kind of disassociated with people, and they start to struggle with their thinking, and maybe go into depression. I mean,
yeah,
you would know better than I would on that, but that's just what I suspect, right?
No,
and what I've read about.
And you are correct. And there's many times where we can feel down and lonely. And during the holiday season, it is easy to feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
You can focus on the negatives. And so, yes, that's why, sadly, suicide rates go up between now and the early part of January, because people just do feel down. And so that's why, again, hey, how are you? Recognize you.
Yeah.
Say hello and hold a door.
I just think it's so easy to give that, to just notice somebody, to notice them and let them know that you see them and you appreciate them in some way, in some level. And, that might mean handing out, a gift card to somebody who's asking for money at the intersection.
Yeah.
Or some, whatever, right? I mean, those are people that are in need as well. And it's not always our obligation to figure out how much need they really have, right? They're asking, so, you give something. And so it's just about being noticed. And I think that goes a long way to maybe lowering suicide rates and lowering depression and all those things, if we just take a few moments to do for somebody else at a low cost even.
Well, the old golden rule adage that we teach our children, that we were taught when we were little children, treat others as you would want to be treated.
Sure.
And the holiday season is a good time for us to...
Unfortunately, most people don't live up to that. Otherwise, people would be treated very differently.
Sadly, that sure appears to be... but I think human nature, I want to believe in the good of people.
Sure.
And I think that what we hear in the news, see on the news, is such a small minority of people. I think that our population is more friendly, more polite, and it's more visible maybe this time of year than other times of the year.
Right.
So
I think we probably need to wrap up, but I just want to challenge listeners and myself to consider, right? We've got several weeks now until Christmas, and this is a time when we can think about how can we give to somebody else? How can we make somebody else's day as we as you know, we're thankful. We know that we did the Thanksgiving thing. We're thankful for what we have, but now what can we give to somebody else and recognize somebody else and notice somebody else and, you know, have a relationship, get off the TV binging and actually see other people and, you know, make a difference in those few weeks. So I just think that's a challenge that I would put out there. Consider what is it you can do? What is it you're willing to do? And get out there and do it in your local community, wherever that is. And we just reached 5,000 podcast downloads.
Yay!
And so we've got a lot of listeners across all the continents, except we can't really tell if Antarctica's in there or not. But right, we probably have had a listener there as well. So, you know, there's people all over the world, and you know, these kinds of holidays are celebrated everywhere. So, and even if it's not, right, giving, being helpful to another person is important.
Well, I will end with this. You don't have to change the whole world by helping one person, but by helping one person, you can change their world.
Yeah.
And that's not me. That's not a Rod McCall quote. But
you really never know who you're helping, so you might be changing the whole world.
Well, it could
eventually.
Could be. But,
anyway.
well, then, you know, we've sat here, we've chatted enough that I think I'm ready for another leftover sandwich. So
let's do it.
All right. Until next time, then, I'm Rod.
I'm Scott.
See ya.
Bye-bye.